Hello everyone, and thank you for having me there at this workshop about putting multimodality to use. Um, Today I will speak about construction grammar and multimodality, but first of all I would like to thank the organizers for having us today, for letting us speak about multimodality in various contexts. Thank you very much for the organizations. So, as I said, I will speak about the construction grammar, and I will ask me if it's possible to make the construction grammar framework multimodal. I will show you that constructions are actually multimodal structures, or generate multimodal structures, but and we know that's okay, that constructions are actually such multimodal constructions in our cognitive space. But my question today will be, do we have the methodology and the methods in order to analyze and understand constructions as multimodal cognitive structures? So that's the main question. I will make some background talk about what a construction is, and then I will explain how I understand the construction grammar methodology and how I understand that it could be possible to make this methodology a multimodal one, and how and why it's nowadays not really possible to make a real and deep analysis of multimodal constructs from the construction grammar perspective. And then we will discuss some examples in order to show that okay, it's possible, and I will show you how we could do that, and I will also show you that there is some limits today, and then I will conclude this talk. So, in a broad context, we can say quite easily that there is an increasing use of multimodal supports for information transfer. That's really massive on the internet. I have two examples there. The first one is a screenshot from the CNN website homepage, and you can see that there is some text, then you have a video, that you have picture, and the whole thing is stable, and you have to have the three elements in order to make the homepage a homepage. And then you also have on the right hand side a screenshot from an Instagram post, and there you also have a picture, some textual components, and other multimodal designs like the heart and the comment sections. And we also know that there is a massive increase of interest towards multimodality, and I will only quote one book about multimodality. It's the book from our organizers, Janina Wildfeuer, our organizer, sorry, Janina Wildfeuer and colleagues, and they show in the German version of the book the basics about multimodality and what we can do in this regard. From my perspective as a construction grammar, I would like to add that Adel Goldberg, the most known researcher in the field, said that it's construction all the way down from a psycholinguistic view. So if we take this assumption and we look in multimodality in a multimodal context, then we should say that everything is construction, and the Instagram post is a construction. Inside there is many constructions like the hashtags, but most important is that the Instagram post is a construction. So the first question that I wanted to answer is, can construction be multimodal? Is a construction a multimodal cognitive structure? Basically, we could say yes. Hartmut Steckel shows that it's true. Another paper from Turavitsky shows also that it's a real possibility. And lately, Hoffman in 2020 wrote also a paper about the question and shows us that that we indeed have multimodal constructions. So it's a clear yes, crystal clear yes. But when we have this answer, we do not have the answer to the following question, which is the construction grammar framework multimodal? I mean, with this question, we know that we have multimodal structures. We know that they exist, that they are used by people, but are we actually is it actually possible to analyze such structures with rigor? That's the main question here, I think. But just as a first part in this presentation, I just would like to give you maybe again the definition of what a construction is. I take this definition from Adele Goldberg, 2006, in this major book from 2006. But the definition is a bit older, 2003. The idea here is to understand that constructions are function from pairings, and this is the main. This is the basic from the construction grammar as a theory, and I underline as a theory. That's really important in my presentation. So we have this definition. Any linguistic pattern is recognized as a construction as long as some aspect of its form or function is not strictly predictable from its component parts or from other constructions recognized to exist. In addition, patterns are stored as constructions even if they are fully predictable as long as they occur with sufficient frequency. So we do have two elements in or three elements in this definition. We know that constructions are function-form pairings. Well, they are form-function pairings for Goldberg, but for me they are function-form pairings, and I follow here Alexander Lasch from Dresden. We also know that a construction is a pattern, so it must be stabilized in its occurrence, and it must have a sufficient frequency, even if we do not know what sufficient means, but it's not the problem for today. So I just take one example. To put something into use is a construction. We do have a verb, then we have an object, then we have another object. That's already let's say a precise construction. We do have abstract construction, but this is a concrete construction, to put something into something. And you have here two concrete examples. So constructs from the construction. I put the golf ball into the hole, and multimodality putting into use. So what we could say is that form is stable over concrete examples, and the function is the same. So we do have found a construction. If we have problem with frequency, if we have problem with the stabilization of the form of the function, then it's not a construction, it might be a pattern. So I take again the quote from Goldberg, it's construction all the way down, and as an example, I also take and I adapt the examples of many construction from Alexander Zim and Alexander Lasch, 2013 in the small handbook. So we have morpheme construction, we have lexeme construction, we have propositional group construction, we have actually the most liked construction, the argument structure construction, and maybe the text support construction from Marie-Louise Martin. And we might have many more construction like the discourse construction. And if I take a very concrete example, you have the transfer construction in order to say that someone transfers transfer someone something, like John gave Mary his diary, and this transfer construction could generate many concrete construction. One of them is the give construction, like Bill gives John a pen, Mary gave Elizabeth a hug, and Rose will give Thomas a slice of cake. And that give you the real life example. I gave you a book. Sorry. What's more, Tomasello in many books, like the small one in 1919, the bigger one in 2003, and the smaller one in 2008, and then his last big book in 2019 shows that constructions are inherently multimodal. That means that from the psychological perspective, from the cognitive one, constructions are actually multimodal structure, and then there might be just only linguistic textual structure. If you take the most basic construction, which is a gesture, it is per se multimodal. If you take just this picture from this woman who shows with her fingers something, it's not only, well, we do not use this picture to show this woman. We won't say, hey, look there. So it means that the form with the fingers and the function, look there, with this pragmatic function, look there, that is also very stable over the time, and there are enough frequency so that I as French understand this picture, and you as German or I don't know, and also understand this picture. So it does really work. And we have so this might be just like it's not it's a concrete example, but it's not something which is really scientific. If we take the real deep analysis from Elizabeth Sima about multimodal constructions in 2014, then we do have examples from the real life, from broadcast TV, a discourse which shows that there are actually multimodal constructions. So as I said, it's not a question anymore. We know that we have multimodal construction, multimodal constructs, because you might speak, and then you might also make a gesture, and both of them generate a meaning, which is the overall meaning, and without the gesture or without the word, then we couldn't understand what you want to transmit. So the global information is supported by a multimodal construction, which generate a multimodal construct. Okay, so that was for the theory. Now I would like to introduce my thoughts about the construction grammar, not only as a theory, but as a methodological framework. And I quote now Goldberg, 2003 and 6, who introduced an enhanced methodology based on data management. That's what we show. That's what we see. Sorry. When we had the quotation from Goldberg. And as I said earlier, the frequency component of the definition is a massive one, and as I said, it's a methodology based on data management, because frequency news is, I think, frequency in social cognition. So we do we correlate the frequency in use of concrete examples in order to find or to comment maybe cognitive structure which are frequently used in our cognition, in our individual cognition and in our social or cultural cognition. What we need corpus and quantitative methods in order to make qualitative analysis. If I quote again Tomasello and others researchers, Tomasello shows, however, that constructions are context dependent. You use a construction in a context in order to say something to someone. If you are in another context, or if you want to say something else, then you use another construction. Hans Boas showed that in 2003 in his PhD. So, as I said, we do need quantitative method, but at the end, we need to have a qualitative approach in order to understand how discourse, from a Foucauldian perspective, might structure the overall information transfer, how genre interacts with the thing, and how the textual structure or the gestural structure interacts with the information transfer. So what we could do, what we should do maybe, is to implement an ethnomethodology in order to understand how people interact with one another in a specific context, in a specific environment. But as we all know there, it might be very complicated and very hard to implement ethnomethodology in corpus-based methods, but that could be an ideal. So to conclude there, we do need a human-based approach in order to make parallels between statistical frequency and contextual settings. And we could say that that this way of thinking and this way of approach construction functions well for textual data. I personally did that for my PhD thesis, 2021, but as I will show you in some minutes, I did have problems with multimodal structure because of the picture in the textual data, in the component, you know. So that the problem is how we can reach the same scientific rigor and falsifiability of results with multimodal content and equal this scientific rigor of textual content. So that's the main question of my thought today. And I will show you some examples now, and we will see that pictures, at least with textual structures, function like constructions. So you do have here an advertisement from McDonald's, the thing you want when you order salad, and you have a Big Mac, I think, I don't know, a hamburger. So it only works when you have the textual structure and you have the pictorial structure, and together they form the information you want to transfer. It's the same thing for Je suis Charlie. It wouldn't work if it's something else as Je suis, and Charlie is the variable component. If I take again my Instagram post, well, it's not my Instagram post, but it's an Instagram post. It's a necessity to have a picture and a minimal textual description. If it's not there, then you do not have Instagram post. And then you also have a picture without textual component, but with a, let's say, textual narration, where you can let's say read read the picture from left to right, and you know that these researchers, and you know that they are researchers because we represent researchers as they are represented there, and you will see that the first researcher make analysis, and then the second, the third one make further analysis, and then you have the final researcher who could write something, right? And then you have the books all over. So it's not with textual structure, but there is something like let's say textual narration, but it's not really important today. What I want to show you is let's say I try to analyze the construct je suis and Charlie, because Charlie is the variable component, as I said. Let's say je suis an X. I try to analyze this thing from a multimodal construction grammar perspective. So I have on the gray on the gray zone the basic construction with the formal structure and the semantic meaning. Formal structure is subject and be and Charlie. Then semantic meaning is agent and predicate, and they generate the information. Then I had two layers. The first one is the formal structure from a multimodal perspective with background information, layout, kind of colors. And you know that Je suis Charlie only functions well when you have the Je suis Charlie as with the white color and the background with black color. So it does, the color does generate a piece of information. And then I had the second layer under the semantic meaning layer, the discursive meaning or the discourse construction meaning, which is what I actually say when I say I am Charlie. I'm not Charlie. It doesn't work. But when I say I am Charlie, I mean I fight for freedom of speech and press, for example. Or at the beginning, I see myself as a component of Charlie, and I also be attacked. I was also attacked during the Paris attack. Okay, so that might be a work basis, let's say. But sometimes text picture structures are more complex to analyze, because when you have Je suis Charlie, then it's primarily a textual structure, and then we can say there is some additional multimodal restrictions, let's say. When you have pictures or multimodal structures, like they add the Austrian-German wine ad on the left-hand side and the other ad on the right-hand side, it's definitely more complex to analyze and to understand. And this is my question: does it mean that these structures are not generated by constructions? If we take the word from Goldberg, it's construction all the way down, then it doesn't work. So yes, they are generated by construction, and it's rather the second part of the question. Does it mean that we do not have the adequate tools to make them speak? And I think it's more that. It means that we can understand, we can analyze ads like the one on the left hand side. We can say that there are many constructions. We can say that there are stabilized general overall structure with the bottle on the right hand side, and then you have a small description on the the bottle on the left hand side, a small description on the right hand side, and the price, and then under a deeper description of the wine, and that's something like 80% frequency on my corpus of something like 800, 900, 100 ads. So I think that we can say that there are many constructions like the let's say that the sensorial construction, frisch und würzig, then you have a first component and a second component, and it's something like it's the minimal sensorial description that you will find again in the more complex description of the wine. My question now is how do we do to create tools, methodology to also have this level of rigor when analyzing complex multimodal structure which are not primarily textual structure. Let's take the disloyal man meme. You all know this meme, I think. I almost have no more time now, so I will not read the definition of what a meme is, but what I want to say is that a meme is recognized as a structure with a high frequency, which means that a meme have a stabilized formal structure and a conventionalized meaning, which means a meme is a construction with textual structure, but it doesn't really matter now. So we have a girl on the left hand side, then we have a man, and then we have another girl, and you always understand the thing like what girls think guys want and what guys really want, and then you can adapt this regarding the several other examples. And you can say, okay, you could write about other new memes because it's more interesting, but it's easier to continuing to report on this meme, and that's almost always the same structure. So how do we represent this meme on a constructional canvas, let's say? So like always, you have a formal structure, formal multimodal structure with background layout and colors, and for this meme it's really important. Then you have formal structure, then you have the semantic meaning, and then you have the discursive meaning with the underlying metaphor. Women are temptations, and then from this cognition metaphor you generate what you want to say. And my question is how to be systematic, how to check the semantic meaning reconstructed by the analysis, because when you generate this meme you want to say something, but when someone else analyzes the meme, maybe he or she understands the meme in another way, and it could be again different from the perspective of someone who is not a linguist. So we need to analyze this from the production side and from the reception side, and we need to distinguish what is being transmitted from what is being received. And that's the same thing, and as you can see, I do not have found how to precisely describe the semantic meaning and the formal structure, because it's really complex. How do you describe from a formal perspective this picture and this meme? Because as I said, you have the pictorial structure, but you also have the textual structure. How do you encode that? That's an open question. If I take the wine advertisement example that I showed you previously, you also have the formal structure with background layout colors, and as I said, it's really stabilized. You have the formal structure with the bottle, the small description, the price, the deep description. Then you have the semantic meaning, and you have the discursive meaning, which is more or less, this is a great and cheap wine, you should buy it. For the semantic meaning, it's the same question: how to be systematic, how to check the semantic meaning reconstructed by the analysis, and how to distinguish, if we do need to distinguish, what is being transmitted from what is being received. And then I just wanted to add some thought about what we could say is a discourse-specific construction, like these memes from the cycling discourse. Again, formal structure with background light colors. Then you have a formal structure, and I tried to describe this. It's my first attempt. Like I wrote, we could say that there is a minimal landscape. Then you have one man on a bike on the center of this minimal landscape. Then you have a one-word construction, head wind or tailwind, and it's multiplied twice. So you have the hand wind component and the tailwind component. And then you have a semantic meaning. Difficult to generate there. And then you have the discursive meaning. Well, it's something like wine is so a massive problem when you ride, and we all know it. And we know that when it's a headwind, that it's really hard, and there is no speed. But when it's tailwind, you're like the world champion. So again, how to be systematic in the reconstruction of the semantic meaning, how to check the semantic meaning reconstructed by the analysis. Then we need to distinguish what is being transmitted from what is being received. And the third question now is how to include specific conventionalizations of a discourse in the constructional representation of the cycling meme. And I can just see now that I'm a bit late, so I will just conclude this talk in a few words. First, summary. We knew multimodal structures could be constructions, and we can say now they are definitely constructions, or they are definitely generations of a cognitive construction. Construction grammar can provide an analytical frame to describe such complex constructions. As I show you with these 3 examples, it could work. But one must say that there is a lack of concrete tools and applicable methodology for efficient and systematic analysis. Then what's crucial to continue in this direction? Well, the first question, the first element is, if something does exist in a communicative event, then it's somehow represented somewhere in the cognitive space. The question is just how. Is it multimodal or not? And then I just have 2 other arguments, but I won't read them, about the necessity of going forward in this direction and to include multimodality in construction grammar. I thank you for your attention. I will surely enjoy to answer your question. Thank you very much.